All right, guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Hold My Helmet Football Podcast, and I'm your host, once again, Will Reichling. Aaron Rodgers, my former boy, Aaron Rodgers. Why do I say my former boy? I'm a New York Jets fan. As for the posters, it wasn't his fault. It wasn't his fault, but he was not the same last year on the New York Jets, Aaron Rodgers. He was less mobile. He looked scared in the pocket, a little jittery, a little skittish. And the second half of the season, he definitely was a lot better. I will admit that. He was better. His numbers were better. He looked better. But he still wasn't what he was a few seasons before that, being back-to-back MVPs under Matt LaFleur, sorry. Again, Jets fan. His brother, Mike LaFleur, former offensive coordinator of the Jets. He signs with the Steelers, Aaron Rodgers. Signs with the Steelers, 1-year deal. It's $13.65 million in base salary this year, $10 million fully guaranteed, up to $19.5 million in incentives. A lot of the incentives are based on him having playoff success, so we'll see where that goes. But nonetheless, Aaron Rodgers going where we all thought he'd go, to the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's also now a married man too, apparently. So now he signs with the Steelers, had a long offseason, gets married, so he's finding love. So I'm happy for Aaron Rodgers in that aspect. He said, pretty much on quote-unquote, he's pretty sure this is it, that this is his last season in the NFL. And that's a little sad because I kind of grew up watching Aaron Rodgers. To me, before Patrick Mahomes came in the league, Aaron Rodgers was the most talented quarterback I've ever seen in my lifetime. And I think Mahomes kind of eclipsed that a little bit, but Rodgers is still pure talent, one of the best quarterbacks to ever do it. Top 5, in my opinion, as far as talent. And you would think Aaron Rodgers is a better option than Russell Wilson from last season. You would think, as a Steelers fan, Aaron Rodgers is a better option than Justin Fields. I agree with that. I think Aaron Rodgers right now is still a better quarterback than Russell Wilson. And I think right now Aaron Rodgers is still a better quarterback than Justin Fields. So that may be so that Aaron Rodgers is the best option for what you had last year compared to now. You are better at the quarterback position. But now you go from, in 2023, a third place standing in your division to a second place standing in your division in 2024. I'll repeat that again. Now you go from third place in your division in 2023 to second place in your division in 2024. So now you go from a third place schedule in 2024 to a second place schedule in 2025. And now you also have to play the entire NFC North. So the Lions, Packers, Vikings, Bears, Packers, Vikings, Lions all in the playoffs last season. So that's probably the best division of football. And then your own division is probably the second best division of football. You have to play the Ravens twice. You have to play the Bengals twice, who are definitely going to be back from their off-season last year. They're definitely going to be bouncing back, Joe Burrow and company. So you have to play the entire NFC North, and you have to play your own division, the AFC North, twice. They're probably the two best divisions of football. Mike Tomlin, he's never had a losing season. But wouldn't it be ironic and kind of funny if he had his first losing season of his career with Aaron Rodgers, one of the best quarterbacks of all time, as his quarterback? Because it might happen. It might happen. They have a hard schedule. I'm about to get into it right now. We're going to go through every game, and I'm going to predict the wins and losses for the Pittsburgh Steelers with Aaron Rodgers in 2025. So buckle up. Like, subscribe, share, and let's do it right now. Week 1, my New York Jets. Once again, Week 1, Jets, Steelers. They did this on purpose. I'm sure that the league probably knew that Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers had an underhand, under the table, shake on it kind of deal. Maybe a spit and shake. I don't know. Other people do that anymore. They might, but they might not. Week 1, look, as much as I want to see the Jets win here, I got to give this one to the Steelers. Mike Tomlin, one of the best head coaches of all time, clearly better than Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn might be a good head coach. He might be a damn good head coach. We don't know what he is yet. So I'll take Tomlin in that regard. And I already said it before. Right now, I still think Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback than Justin Fields. Justin Fields might have a good year. He might progress as the season goes on and turn to a good quarterback. But Week 1 in the 2025 season, based off last year, the year before that, Aaron Rodgers is still better. I'm going to give the Steelers a win here Week 1 against the New York Jets, my New York Jets. Week 2, the Seattle Seahawks. They're at home against Seattle, Fox, 1 o'clock game. I really think Sam Darnold is going to surprise a lot of people this season. I know he shit the bed in the playoffs. I know he shit the bed against the Rams. I know he shit the bed against the Lions. But Sam Darnold can sling the rock. You saw it last season. Big-time throws against Seattle. Made the biggest throw of his career to Justin Jefferson for the game-winning touchdown. I really think Sam Darnold is going to put up similar numbers to what he did last year. 28 touchdowns. Seahawks are a playoff team, in my opinion. I think the Seahawks come in week 2 and beat the Steelers. So 1-1 for the Steelers so far, in my prediction. Week 3, they're at New England. I think the Patriots are going to be a better team this year. I think they have a better roster, clearly a better head coach, but I still think the Steelers have the better team. I think Drake May is going to progress into a damn good quarterback, but I still think right now I'll take Aaron Rodgers over Drake May. Give me the Steelers here, 2-1 Steelers. Week 4, Minnesota Vikings. I'm pretty sure this is in Germany. Early Sunday game, 9:30 a.m. on NFL Network. If you remember the London game last year for Aaron Rodgers, Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator of the Vikings, had his number. The pick six, Van Ginkel read that slant perfectly. I mean, they kind of shut down Rodgers completely. Brian Flores had Aaron Rodgers' number in London last season when he was on the Jets. I think it's going to be more of the same. Right now, I don't know what Jason McCarthy is. I have no idea, but I love Kevin O'Connell, offensive head coach. I think he's going to make the most out of Jason McCarthy. And I love Brian Flores manning up that defense because last year he stifled Aaron Rodgers. I think he's going to do the same again. So 2-2. I give the Steelers a loss to the Vikings here. Not to mention Aaron Rodgers wanted to play for the Vikings too. I wonder why. So I'll give the Vikings a win there. A week 5 bye. That's an early bye week for the Steelers. And might have been more beneficial for an older quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, to get a bye later in the season so he could be fresh to the playoffs, maybe make a push into the playoffs in the last few weeks. So this is the earliest bye possible, I'm pretty sure, week 5 is, and that's a rough one for the Steelers. Yes, an old quarterback, you get a bye early, you get the rest up, but now you have to play, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, like 10 plus straight weeks. So it's going to be rough for him for sure. I think that did not turn out in their favor, that bye week. But now you're 2-2, coming off the bye week. Week 6, you're playing Cleveland at home. Look, the Browns are not a good football team. They have a 4-person quarterback competition. That's all you need to know. They have a 4-person quarterback competition. So if you ever heard the saying, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback? If you have 4 quarterbacks, you definitely don't have a quarterback. So they also have a weak wide receiver room. I don't really know who's going to step up in that room right now. I'm going to take the Steelers at home against Cleveland. I think that's an obvious one. 3-2 Steelers. Thursday Night Football at the Bengals, Prime Video. I think Joe Burrow is going to bounce back this season. The Bengals are going to make the playoffs. The Bengals are going to be a good team again. I know they have some contract disputes with Trey Henderson. I know they have some contract disputes with their rookie, Shamar Stewart. But I think that's all going to get settled out. I think they have a damn good offense. I think losing Lou Anarumo was a bad decision. Like, I feel like he was a great defensive coordinator, but like you still have pieces on that that back end. And if Trey Hendrickson could produce like he's been producing, and Shamar Stewart could get in the building, I think the Bengals are going to be just fine. I think they're going to bounce back. And at home, the Bengals being at home, I think they work the Steelers here. So I'm going to give it to the Bengals here. So now you're 3-3. You're Aaron Rodgers or the Steelers. You're 3-3. You're still sitting okay? It's not panic time. I'm sure he played some good games in there. The Cleveland game, he probably plays well. I could see him playing well against the Jets. So I'm sure Rodgers at this point is playing pretty well. As long as he's upright, I'm not crazy about the Steelers' offensive line, but they added some more pieces in the offseason to get better. So hopefully this helps. I like Arthur Smith as an OC. I really do. I don't think he's great, but I think he's good. So 3-3 right now. Aaron Rodgers probably playing well. I think you're happy with that if you're the Steelers. What you're not going to be happy with is losing Aaron Rodgers to your former team, the Green Bay Packers, on Sunday Night Football. And I think that's what's going to happen. The Packers have the better roster. I would take Jordan Love over Aaron Rodgers right now. I would take Matt LaFleur over Mike Tomlin. Matt LaFleur won 2-3 games last year with Malik Willis. So I really think that the Packers have the better team, better quarterback, better coach, better offensive weapons. Even though I'm not crazy about them not having the number 1 receiver, they have like 3 or 4 number 2s. So, and Tucker Kraft, Musgrave coming off the injury last year, he's probably going to shine again. I'm Josh Jacobs, who I don't mind. I almost forgot about Josh Jacobs. So Packers easy there. Okay, so now at that point you're 3-4. Now you're a little worried if you're a Steelers fan. You're like, okay, this is not shaping up the way it was last year. I think you were like 10-3 at one point last year. So now you're 3-4, automatically worse in 2025 than you were in 2024. So now week 9, the Indianapolis Colts, Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson, who really gives a shit? Steelers are going to win that game. Like, I'm not even going to get into that. I'll take the Steelers there at home, too, on top of that. At the Chargers, Monday Night Football, 2 out of 3 weeks, they'll have Monday Night Football. And I know this is going to sound crazy, but right now, I would take Jim Harbaugh over Mike Tomlin. Jim Harbaugh has won with more teams, has built more teams from scratch, and you saw what he did with the Chargers team that missed the playoffs the year before, I think won 4 or 5 games. Immediately playoff team. Boom, playoff team. Immediately Justin Herbert's cutting down on the turnovers. I know in the playoff game, he threw 4 picks. Regular season, 3 picks. And immediately, that team showed what Jim Harbaugh is all about. They draft a tackle. They run the football. They just add Najee Harris in the offseason. I'm going to take the Chargers here. Better coach team, in my opinion. And I think they're going to be, the Chargers are on the rise, and the Steelers are kind of on the downfall. So I'm going to take Chargers there. And people might disagree with me, but I will confidently see Chargers in that one. So now you're 4-5. You're still right in the thick of things, though. 4-5 in the NFL kind of is nothing. You win 5 straight. Now you're 9-5. So you might be a little concerned at this point you're a Steelers fan, but nothing to be crazy about. I think Rodgers plays well in most of these games. So now you're going into home against Cincinnati in Week 11. And I'll take the Steelers there. I'll take the Steelers at home. The Steelers split with all their divisional opponents in 2024. They went 3-3, 1-1 against the Browns, 1-1 against the Bengals, and 1-1 against the Ravens. So I'll take the Steelers at home here against the Bengals. They lost one to them earlier in the season in my predictions on the road. Now they'll take this one at home. So the Steelers have shown that they can win games against competitive teams. So, especially at home, they are a good home team under Mike Tomlin. They have a good defense at home under Mike Tomlin. So I'll take the Steelers there. Week 12, so now you're 5-5. So you're still sitting pretty right now, 5-5. Tough division, but the Browns are falling off. Who knows? I think the Bengals are going to be back this year, but who knows? Who really knows at this point? They always start off slow, and you just beat them in Week 11 in my prediction. So Week 12, the Chicago Bears at Chicago. I don't know what Caleb Williams is as a quarterback in the NFL. I don't know what Ben Johnson is as a head coach in the NFL. I know what Aaron Rodgers is. I know he's not as good as he used to be, but I know what he is, and I know he can still sling the rock. I know what Mike Tomlin is. I know he can lead a roster. I know he can make players overachieve. So I know what the Steelers are. I don't know what the Bears are. I'm going to take the Steelers here to win against the Bears. So now you're 6-5. Now you're feeling a little better, but now you go into Buffalo, which is a tough one. I'm not going to give you guys the win against Buffalo. That's tough to go in there. I know it's home, but Josh Allen, they're just too talented of a team coming off an AFC Championship loss last season. I think they're probably going to be the 1 seed, the Bills. So I'm going to give you the loss against the Bills. So at Baltimore, so I'm going to have the Steelers split their division. I think it's only fair to have them split their division 3-3 because I'll get into it later. Cleveland, it's a little feisty. I'll get into that later, but I'm going to have them lose to Baltimore on the road. I have them beat Baltimore later, as I'll get into in a little bit, but I'm going to have them lose to Baltimore on the road. Lamar Jackson, John Harbaugh, Baltimore's a better team. Let's just be honest. And on the road against Baltimore, that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough. So you're 6-6 at this point. ESPN Monday Night Football, Miami Dolphins. I don't trust Tua, especially late in the season. This is week 15 at this point. I mean, anything past November, once it gets under 50 degrees, 45 degrees, he sucks. Against good teams, he sucks. Steelers are a decent team. In the cold, at home, cold weather home game against Tua. I'm going to take the Steelers there. So 7-6. 7-6. Am I off? 7-6. 7-7. Ooh, no, so it's 7-7 at this point. I'm sorry, I had to recount that. So at this point, you're 7-7, and okay, yes, you're 7-7 at this point. So like now you're like, okay, if we don't win 3 straight, we might miss the playoffs here. We really might. And then after that, you have to go in and play Detroit on the road. So that's going to be tough. I'm not going to give you that one. They're just too good of a team, Detroit. L there, 7-8. And again, at Cleveland, I gave you the win earlier in the season. You split with Cleveland last year, and they weren't even that good of a team. So divisional games get weird. Lesser opponents play up to better opponents in divisional games. I'm going to take the Browns here. You're on the road in Cleveland, the dog pound. It's not an easy game on the road in Cleveland. I think they're going to be respectable, but maybe Shador is progressing at this point, or Joe Flacco has another revival season. I'm going to take the Browns. At home, you're on the road. So, what are we at now? 7-9? Ooh. So, you're already first losing record for Mike Tomlin in his career. I've said it the last 3 seasons and was wrong, so I could be wrong again. But right now we're sitting 7-9, and at home against Baltimore, it's a flex game to be determined. I'm gonna give you the win there. Like I said, split the division, only fair. Give you the win, Baltimore at home. So 8-9. That leaves him at 8-9. Look, it's not a perfect science. I'm probably gonna get half of those games wrong, but I'll probably get the other half right. So it shows. All I'm trying to say is that this is going to be a tough year for the Pittsburgh Steelers. This schedule is not a walk in the park. You have 2 games against the Ravens, 2 games against the Bengals. You got to play the Bills. You got to play the Lions. You got to play the Packers. You got to play the Vikings, who were great last season, won 14 games. You got to play the Seahawks, who now have the quarterback that won 14 games in the Vikings. You got to play the Chargers, who, with Jim Harbaugh, is already building that team up last season with less talent. Now they have a better roster. So this is a tough schedule. This schedule is top 10 in opponent winning percentage last season. So they have a top 10 strength of schedule. Now, some of those teams are going to be better, too, on top of that. So it's going to be weird for the Steelers because you have Aaron Rodgers, you have a lot of primetime games, but it's going to be tough with this schedule. I have them going 8-9, and if this is Aaron Rodgers' last season, it's going to be funny that we always talked about Mike Tomlin never having a losing season. You have the best quarterback that you could possibly get come in. The only quarterback that could have possibly been better than Big Ben. At this point, he wasn't better than Big Ben in his prime, like at this age, Aaron Rodgers. But a quarterback whose his resume, his history is better than Big Ben. And for all that, you're still going to have your first losing season. Not with Kenny Pickett, not with Mason Rudolph, not with Justin Fields, not with Russell Wilson, but with Aaron Rodgers. That will be the funniest ending of a story that I've ever heard in my life. So thanks, guys. That's going to be all today. I'll see you soon. Take care.